Welcome back to Bibliophiles Audio Files. It's been a minute.
Happy New Year.
Happy Merry Christmas, you guys. We missed it. Sorry. No, like
Oh,
we have not uploaded because I had to see what number episode we were on while editing, and we have not uploaded since October 11th, and it's currently January 3rd. So you probably won't get this episode till March.
no, we're gonna try that's gonna be our New Year's resolution is being better about
I
this.
know, I'm really hoping we are. Anyways, thank you guys for sticking around if you have. Today we are still on the alphabet challenge. We left, didn't leave that behind. Today
Nope.
we are doing today we're doing letter Q, and we had picked The Quarry Girls by Jess Lourey. I think that's how you say the last name.
Is it
I
is
think
it an A?
so. It's
I wrote
just
it as
it's
an
L
O.
yeah, it's Lourey. So I'm saying Lowry.
Why wouldn't it be Lori?
It may be Lori. Listen, I'm from the South. We don't pronounce. The description is killers hiding in plain sight, small town secrets, a girl who knows too much, Minnesota 1977. For the teens of one close-knit community, summer means late night swimming parties at the quarry, the county fair, and venturing into the tunnels beneath the city. But for two best friends, it's not all fun and games. Heather and Brenda have a secret, something they saw in the dark, something they can't forget. They decided to never tell a soul, but their vow is tested when their friend disappears, the second girl to vanish in a week, and yet the authorities are reluctant to investigate. Heather is terrified that the missing girls are connected to what she and Brenda stumbled upon that night. Desperately searching for answers on her own, she learns that no one in her community is who they seem to be. Not the police, not the boys she met at the quarry, not even her parents. But she can't stop digging because she knows those girls are in danger. She also knows she's next.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun. So these are the content warnings on StoryGraph: murder, kidnapping, mental illness, rape, sexual assault, drug use, pedophilia, infidelity, and alcohol. Yeah, that tracks.
What about is like mental disorder on there somewhere?
No, I didn't. That's graphic, moderate, and minor content warnings. Like those are just the ones that pop up on the screen when you're looking at it. They're probably, if you hit see all, there probably is that somewhere. Yes.
Because I was gonna
Th
say,
32 people flagged it for mental illness.
yeah, because that's I mean it's not like heavily, but it would be like a
Yeah.
minor to me.
I would
Of the
definitely, like anyone interested in this book, I would definitely go and look at all the trigger warnings because there are a lot of
yeah,
them. Those are just the ones that were,
that are highlighted the most.
yes, that are highlighted the most. Yeah, exactly. This book is not on Spotify. It is on Kindle Unlimited, and it's free to listen to without Audible. So if you download it, you should, there's a lot of vehicle passing by. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, I
When you
can.
download it, okay, when you download it, there should be an option to listen to it for free. It is 4.99 on Amazon. Okay, it's your turn.
Let's see. I have the reviews, don't I?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I saved these back in October.
Oh my
So
goodness.
if any of these average ratings have changed, that's my bad. I just didn't feel like getting new ones.
What does it say for store graph? I'll type you it's the same.
I looked at that one. That was the same. It's
All right.
3.89 as the
Yeah.
average rating. Um, so this one, I'm guessing it's a DNF because there's no stars listed on it. So it
Mhm.
says, heard good things and really pushed myself to keep going, but so many chapters in, and it was becoming a chore to find it engaging. And then 5 star says, Lowry's, whatever her last name is.
Mhm.
Latest is a coming of age thriller with the protagonist, Heather, leaning, my mouse was in the way, learning too much about the secret. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Polar Express.
Oh my gosh.
When he's got this ticket and he says lean.
Lean.
What do you mean lean? And then the sun was in the way and it said learn.
Oh no, I love the Polar Express.
I just watched that the other day. But anyways, that's a tangent. Learning too much about the secrets of her small town keeps. Some of those secrets involve the town, others her friends, some hit really close to home. Lori's earned at Okay, she said at, but I think she meant A. Lori earned a 5-star rating from me because of this book. She forces a dialogue into the open that she's been writing about for years. Transitioning from childhood to adulthood isn't a smooth path, and for some, it's outright bad. Lori's writing skills made the book. I hope she keeps going down this path for her writing. Okay. And then on Goodreads, the average rating when I did this was a 4.04. The 1 star picked was a DNF. And it says this was a DNF for me about a third of the way through. I was completely bored. The reviews were good, so apparently it's just me. But I have to force myself to get even that far. I feel like I kept reading. It probably would have gotten better, but I don't want to feel like I'm forcing myself to read a book, which is valid. And then this 5 star says, ugh, this book is the kind of book that makes me hate the author because the writing is just so damn good. It makes me infuriatingly jealous and also incredibly awestruck. What a ride. I devoured the book in just a few days. I was wholeheartedly obsessed. I love when a book pulls me in from the start and gets me so desperate to know what happens that I stay up past my bedtime. This will be one of my top reads for 2023 for sure.
Wow. And here
Um,
we are 2 years later. No.
yeah, right. Amazon is a 4.3 out of 5. The 1 star says this was a very difficult no, this was very difficult to get through. It was slow, and even with the dual storyline of villains, it was boring. Not only that, but there was child abuse and a very unhealthy father-daughter relationship. I should have stopped this after the first couple of chapters. The last 2 chapters were the only ones worth reading because they tied a bow on the whole book. I also hated the way the author described things. I'm really not sure why. It was just cringy. Would not recommend. Terrible way to start off the year's book, which was posted on January 6th of 2023, actually. So almost
Well, it's
almost two
exactly two
years
years
later.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. And for the record, child abuse is listed in the thing of content warnings.
Yeah.
So if you're not checking trigger warnings before you read a book, that's more on you, kind of.
Yeah, it's more on you.
That's also the reason why we do this whole thing is just to like, for the beginning of our episodes is
Bring, yeah,
to
bring awareness to trigger warnings.
pretty much, yeah. Oh. But anyways, that's it.
Oh,
I think.
ta-da!
I think. Oh wait, no. I lied. There's one more.
Liar.
Okay, 5 star. Couldn't put it down. This was a good one. I couldn't put it down. I will definitely read more of her books. I appreciated how well she kept the story moving forward, and that when it came to the climax, nothing came from out of nowhere. I wouldn't say that there was a huge plot, a huge twist. Wait, I wouldn't say there was a huge twist. I could see there where the plot was going, but I didn't mind that it didn't take away from the suspense. The punctuation there just threw me off.
It's off, yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're a reader, not a writer. Okay.
God, you're salty today. My gosh.
Listen, I'm in so much pain. I'm allowed to be salty.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's it.
Oh.
You know what that means?
Whoa, bro, what's that in the distance?
Yeah, gnarly, dude.
Gnarly. It's James.
Oh my God, James. So
That's
scary.
probably the worst one yet.
There's some spoilers coming up, sweetie. You better cover your ears.
Do you want to start?
Sure. My first thing, though, before I go into like my first note, is that when you suggested we do this book for Q, I was kind of just like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. I was kind of just like, but I'm very surprised with how much that book changed my mind about how I initially felt about it.
Yes. Like this book, like my first note is about like the story, but like I should have wrote about how captivating it was in the very beginning for me. I've discovered that I really like thrillers. I went on
Yeah,
like
this book did
after
throw.
this book, it threw me straight into thrillers for a while.
I think this one and The Never Lie by Frida McFadden are ones that
Oh
like
my
really
gosh.
drew me into like thrillers.
Yes, absolutely. Frida McFadden is amazing. I haven't read anything else by this author. I'm not going to keep saying her name, but I have not read anything else by this author, but I intend to in the future when I'm not so far behind on reading list for the
Reading.
podcast. Yeah. But
Yeah.
no, I really like the way this book was written.
Me too. Also, as another side note, though, which actually is one of my notes, it's not my first one, but it's one I noted later on. The Kindle audiobook, because you can listen to it like
Hmm.
we did with Echo of Old Books.
Hmm.
The narrator for the Echo of Old Books is the same one who narrated this.
Really?
Yeah, they sound like exactly the same
Oh my
for
goodness.
sure. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I really like the narrator in this one. I think she like got the emotions across, you know. She wouldn't read it. She was like reading it. Like there's a big difference, you know.
Yeah. I did have an ick right off the bat.
What was it?
Oh my God, what was his name?
Was it
It
one of the kids or
wasn't.
one of the adults?
I
Ed?
mean, Ed. Yeah, he's the dude, right?
He's the dude, yeah.
That like was trying to kind of date
Yeah. Yeah, he's like the
Maureen.
short old guy. And
Yeah.
like, yeah.
So he like said something to Heather, I think it was, and she did not receive his message very well.
Mm,
And so his response to her was, "What do you have against nice guys?" And
I
I was just
know.
like, "Bleh."
Ugh. No,
Like,
thank you.
no.
And
No, no,
my first note is I believe I'd be moving away if I was raising a child in a town with at least three serial killers. Because you have to think like serial killers are not always known right off the bat. But if you know there's at least three of them that are circulating in the news in your neighborhood, I'd be out.
that's fair.
Like
Although,
I would not want to stay there with my children.
I live next to a guy who's on the sex offender list for, I don't know, 15 years of my life and didn't know
Oh
about
my
it.
gosh.
And I'm just like, wow, mom and dad, you knew this?
Well, did they?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's even worse.
I'm like, did you know that he's been on the list since 2005, which is when we moved into the house? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, thanks.
Thanks, Mom and Dad. Did they let you go over there unsupervised?
Oh,
Okay, thank God.
I don't think I've ever stepped foot in their house.
That's good. Speaking of houses, what do you think about the underground tunnels in this book?
I personally, if it was me, because I'm a scaredy cat, I wouldn't go underneath the houses like that.
Oh, absolutely not. I hate the fact that all these tunnels, like, there's doors into
Connect to the
people's
other houses.
basements. Yeah, but they all share a key.
Yeah, no.
Because, like,
Big no
some
for me.
people rekeyed it, but a lot of people didn't. And I'm like, how much do you trust
Your neighbors?
everyone? Yeah, exactly.
No, I
Like,
don't.
I don't distrust my neighbors, all of them. Most of them, yeah, but not all of them. But I would not want them to have access to my house.
No, not at all. I would be changing my locks.
Absolutely.
The other thing about them though is that the tunnels reminded me of like the inside walls of the Paris apartment.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I kept getting those vibes.
So I kept thinking about that too.
Yeah, I think they were like playing tag down there or something, and they were like in the haunted section because they say
I
that
sh
they can hear people like moaning and screaming on that side of the tunnels or whatever. Like the kids are down there playing.
I mean, as you would as a kid in the 70s, because like what else were you supposed to do?
I know, right? They didn't have iPod Nanos. Wow, I don't even know my own generation. Yeah, they were in the haunted section, and then that was when they saw the thing.
Maureen,
Yeah, Marine,
on her hands and knees.
on
Not
her
on her
hands
hands and
and
knees, just her
knees.
knees.
Just her knees
Just her
before
knees.
man.
Was it four or was it three?
It was four because I wrote down someone opened the door to reveal their friend being used, in quotation marks, by four men while listening to Elvis with strobe lights.
Craziest thing though.
I know, and like one of them was a sheriff, one of them was like, was it Heather's dad? I think it's Heather's dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And like the other one was also like a cop.
yeah, yeah.
I think they were all cops actually, because her dad was like a cop too, wasn't he?
Oh, he may have
Or
been
was
that
he
or
like some
a
government
city
official?
official. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's something with like with power, essentially.
yeah. Um, so yeah, they were getting jiggy to it with Elvis,
Yeah.
kinda, which is where the child abuse comes in
Yeah,
and the
that's where
grape.
the pedophilia. Yeah. Well, I mean, she was there
It's
consensually, but because it was Beth that introduced the grape because she's the lady that was working at a diner and she had
yeah,
gotten
but
kidnapped.
she's 17.
Yeah.
Technically, that's statutory rape, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I think so, maybe. It is definitely pedophilia either way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Beth was the second POV, and she was the one that was kidnapped. And then he tried to grape her, but she just started laughing at him.
Oh no,
And then
he did.
I know he did eventually, but the second time, not the second time, the first time, she just started laughing at him. Because, like, I don't know if she had been through that before, but, like, she seemed to know what to do.
Yeah. I think the one thing that like about like that whole situation though.
Yeah.
And this was a scene. I think this is a direct quote. So like at this point, he being Ed, by the way,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. Ed brings in like this lantern or something, and she's like holed up in this like underground part of a house. I don't know if it's like an underground part or if it's like a basement or like
Hmm.
whatever the hell it was.
Hmm.
And he says to her, "You scream, I take the light away." And then he like unzips his pants. And that scene gave me chills
Dude, I almost put it
because
down at that point.
I
Like,
was like, oh,
if I was ever close to DNFing a book, it would be something that involved children. And like,
yeah,
I'm 24. Anything under 20 is a child. Probably, no, actually, probably anything under 21 is a child to me. So like,
yeah. Isn't that
I,
crazy?
yeah, I know. It's like the older you get, like the younger that, people seem for some reason.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. But anyways, yeah. Was that Ed that kidnapped Beth, or was that the police officer? I don't remember
No,
who
it
it
was Ed.
was. It was Ed. Okay.
It was
Yeah, I
Ed.
could not remember.
With like the whole kidnapping thing, though, it's absolutely crazy to think that people actually go through the process of being like, I'm gonna kidnap this person, and then create like a whole plan to do that.
I know. Like, like you figure out where you're gonna put them, you figure out what you're gonna do with them, you figure out how you're going to lure them into safety, like in your arms, whatever. Like it's crazy because my dad's an investigator, right? And so he has talked to me relentlessly about stuff like that because he specialized in child pornography and like child kidnapping for a long time. And
Mhm.
so like he always made me and my brother aware of like what to avoid. And like it's crazy that like so many people are actually good at it. Like that's terrifying to me, especially having kids of my own.
Yeah. Trying to see what would be a great segue based off of the notes I have.
Mine are honestly all over the place, so anything's good.
Apparently, this was mentioned kind of in the book. Very, very, very not 360, 180. Um, so you talked about like the smell of approaching rain. Can you smell rain?
Yes. Can you
I don't
not?
think I can. I don't think
Oh my
so.
gosh. I wonder if it's honestly just being in the South because like the humidity level usually skyrockets. I think that's what people smell is the humidity in the air. And usually when, humidity level's higher, it means it's gonna rain. So that's the same thing when people say when the cows are laying down, it's gonna storm. They're getting prepared, they're hunkering down, they're getting ready for it. But I absolutely can smell the rain, and it is one of my favorite smells in the world.
I don't think I can smell rain.
Man, yeah, usually, like, I don't know if it's, is that like a northern thing? Is it not humid up there? Like when you walk
Really?
outside and you just immediately feel wet.
No,
Okay,
not
that's probably
really.
why.
But like you could kind of tell when it's gonna rain, not by smell, but like if you look at the leaves on the trees, because if
Hmm.
they are shiny, then it's gonna be like sunny. But if they start to get dull, that's when you know it's gonna rain sometime soon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Apparently, that's what I learned in my science class.
That's cool. My
You
notes are
know,
everywhere.
I had a feeling that okay, so his name is spelled Claude, but it's pronounced Cloudy, which bothered me, by the way.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I know.
But I knew he had a crush on Heather, like
See,
straight up.
they're like, honestly, if I was gonna say something bad about this book, which I really don't want to because I really loved it, is there's so many people. Like there's
There is a
so
lot of
many
people.
men, there's so many girls, there's so many POVs. It's constantly jumping around, and especially
There's only
listening.
two POVs.
Is there? Because I thought in the end it swapped to somebody's dad or the sheriff or something. It
Not
swapped
that I
from
remember.
Heather because I actually made notes of whose mind it was in. Like I put a H if it was Heather, I put a B if it was Beth, and then every once in a while there's a guy. I'm pretty sure.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, well, I just got confused by all the people. Like, I'm bad with names, honestly.
What's my name?
Uh, ask again later. Let me get my Magic 8 Ball out. No, your name is Baby Girl. Yeah, no. Okay,
I'll be your
so
baby girl.
oh,
Oh,
so I know that. Okay, so there's Ricky, who was kids with Heather when, yeah, they were friends with Heather because Heather was sick, and so Ricky would bring his cat to visit because she loved his cat, but the cat hated him, so he would get scratched up. That was really sweet. But and then later it talks about Aunt.
yep,
I don't know if it talks about Ricky as an adult.
it did.
It did. Okay, I'm struggling because like my notes are all over the place because I forgot to write names.
He was also there too. He, I think, was one of the ones that, like, you remember at
One
the
of the four
end?
men.
No, not one of the four men. But remember when they were escaping and Beth and Elizabeth and then not Beth. Oh, Beth and Elizabeth are the same person. Hang
Oh
on.
my gosh.
So
See,
Beth
I'm
and
telling
Heather,
you.
and then Heather's little sister were all running, right, by the
Hmm.
quarry.
Yes.
And they were like chasing them. Well, Ricky, right?
Yes.
He was one of the ones that was chasing him, and then he ended up falling into the quarry.
Oh, that's true. Well, who's Ant? Where did Ant come from? Because I made notes about Ant.
He was there too. He also was charged with kidnap or like an accessory to kidnapping and
Yeah.
stuff. Because he knew about the whole thing, and he's the one that really like I think coerced Heather
Yes.
to do some things.
Yeah, because
Which,
it's like
speaking
all the
of,
older men were pressuring girls into drinking and drugs.
yeah, which honestly, gladly, I will gladly be a buzzkill to not drink or do weed or anything like
No,
that.
no, no,
Hang
no, no,
out. Like,
no.
I don't really care. Like, you're not,
Sober
no.
fun is good fun.
Honestly, it is.
Yeah, I mean, you actually remember
Just
it.
Just ask for our friend James.
James. No, like I went to my
James.
husband's work Christmas party, and like everyone there was like, getting turned, including my husband. So I had to be the DD. And so I'm out there dancing. I'm tearing up that dance floor because I like to dance, and nobody ever dances with me. It's like I'm out there dancing with all these hot chicks, right?
Yep.
No, for real. It was only women dancing, and most of them were very attractive. And I was like, hey. No, anyways, like this one girl comes to me and then she was like, "Oh, you're gonna be feeling it tomorrow." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "'Cause you're wasted." I'm like, "I'm sober. I'm only drinking water." Like I was tipsy at first because I drank a drink, but my tolerance is so low after not drinking for 2 years from having kids and breastfeeding. So like
Mhm.
no tolerance. But no, she was like, "You're sober?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, then why are you dancing?" I'm like, "Because it's fun." Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? I know it's terrible. I mean, it was fun, but like people were like, you can't have fun without a drink. And I'm like, that's not at all like the way that's
That
you shouldn't live like that,
that's
you know?
no. That's crazy. Can we go back to
Yes, sorry, I know my notes are
Cloudy?
everywhere, so I keep jumping around.
Well, this is like farther down the line. Let's go back to like Cloudy and like he got that necklace for Heather.
Yes.
And he was just like, I got this for you, but if you don't like it, like, you don't have to take it. Like, you can just return it, or like, I'll give you $10. That's what it was, like 9.99 in tax, blah blah blah. And he just like was
Hmm.
so nervous about giving it to her. I'm
Hmm.
like, that's so sweet.
I know he seemed really nice.
I'm really glad that they ended up together at the end of the book.
Hmm.
Oh, and to go even further back though, to Maureen on her knees, right?
Yeah.
When Heather was trying to describe the men and she noticed like the man with the bronze ID tag, I like
Oh yeah, the
instantly
copper bracelet
knew,
thing.
yeah, that was gonna be her dad. I was like, that's her dad. That's the reason why she knows.
See,
She,
that's what I felt
that's
like
why.
because she was like, he looked familiar. And I was like, no.
Well, she didn't get to see his face, but like there was something about him that reminded her of something. And she mentioned the like bronze ID tag, and I was just like, that has to be
It
like
has to be.
it
Yeah.
has to be. And then like at the end, she's hiding in her dad's closet, I think in his office, and she sees it on the floor. And then like that's when the memory hits her that that's like something
Realization.
her mom like gave to him.
Ew. I mean,
Yeah.
that's sweet, but like, ew, that was her dad, you know?
Yeah. No, that is I don't understand how you could, as like a father,
Hmm.
do that to your daughter's friend.
Exactly. See, that what's even more messed up, right? So Maureen, right? Me girl, she, her mom and Heather's dad had an affair a long time ago. And so
Yeah.
now he's having sex with her daughter.
Yep.
Like that's just so this book, I'm telling you, like this book, I read this book in like 5 days and I made two notes here of where I pulled two separate all-nighters to stay up and read it. But like I almost put it down so many times because I'm just like, oh my gosh.
I wonder how long it took me to read it. I'm gonna kind of quickly look that up because I'm
Okay.
curious.
While you're doing that,
Um,
I'll mention that I did write a note that
oh,
says Maureen is missing.
it took me 2 months.
Oh my gosh. No, I love this book. Like I could not
Oh,
stop because like
I loved it too.
yeah, Heather,
It's
Maureen and
just
Beth were all missing at the same time. Didn't Junie also go missing? Like Heather's little sister?
kinda sorta. She, even though like she she being Heather told her like not to go and do this, like it's not worth it, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
She ended up leaving, and that's when like Heather walked around the house, ran around the
That's
house,
right.
and was just like, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, she's
Found
not
her at a
here." And she's
party.
like, "I know exactly where she's at." So she hopped on her bike and she goes and gets
Yeah.
her and finds her sister at the house, and her sister's like, "I regret every single decision I just made."
Yeah. I know,
Because her
because like they
sister was
were,
like 12.
yeah, and they were like trying to, I don't know if it was her, but they were trying to get her to do stuff, take pictures of her. Like it was crazy. Like
Which was another thing
this book
too.
is pretty much all just pedophilia. So like
Yeah.
it was so uncomfortable, but like still it's really well written.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I will ever read another book with the tag pedophilia.
But
I'm glad this is lit though.
let me see. Oh, so like with like the moms, right? Like the Maureen's mom had an affair with Heather's dad,
Yes. Yeah.
and like that pretty much sent her mom into like a
Deep
depression
depression.
spiral kind of
Yes.
thing. That kind of reminded me of the Echo of Old Books
I'm trying to remember how I am.
because the
Divorce and she was depressed.
yeah,
Yes.
she was like all in bed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of that. But
Wow,
also
they
like
had the real depression.
yeah.
Not that
And then
fake
like
stuff that we have.
yeah, right? And then like honestly like the manic depression stuff like that really like hit close to home because I have like family that has
Oh,
gone through that kind of
absolutely.
stuff and
Yeah.
that kind of just that like triggered me just a little bit.
Hmm. See, I'm surprised I rated this book as highly as I did because of how true, like, not because of, in spite of how triggering it was.
Yeah.
I made a note about Ring Toss Man, but I don't know who that was. So I'm just gonna erase that.
He was Heather was trying to get some information and she knew that
Yeah.
ring toss man knew because she saw Brenda getting out of his tent at the fair
Okay.
because the fair is where Aunt invited her to go to the house, I think.
That's right. Yeah. And
And
he's like
Ed's the one that
asking
also
to take
invited
pictures of
Junie,
her. Yeah.
which he did, and then Heather was like, "I need that photo back."
Yeah. Yeah. He was a total, like, bleh.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like honestly,
Uh,
like if it's like a situation like that where it's just like you have this photo of me in this type of situation and I don't want you to have it anymore, like
give
you
it
need to
back.
respect the person and be like, give it back.
Not only that, but what kind of person forces someone in that position in the first place? Because like
That too.
it was like, what's the word? Persuaded, conception, not conception. What is the word I'm looking for?
Compliance.
Consent. Yeah, it was more like persuaded consent, where she originally did not consent and he persuaded her to. There's a certain word for that, but essentially that's what it is.
Because like he pretty much was like, you're not leaving here until you do this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So he persuaded her, not really with touch, just words. And that just was really like, ugh. That's very triggering. I was just like, ugh.
You know, my brother did that to me with playing Minecraft, right?
Who?
My brother.
Oh
He
my
was like, you're not
gosh.
allowed to leave my room until you play Minecraft for 15 to 20 minutes.
15 to 20 minutes.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Wow. So your brother, he could have been in the book. No, I'm just kidding.
Heather was cooking for her family because her mom's incapable of doing it.
Mhm.
And I guess Junie doesn't, and then her dad like works and stuff. So
Yes.
one of my notes says, I love cooking, which I really do.
Yeah.
But the note before that, honestly, is like a life goal of mine, and it's a direct quote from the book.
Mhm.
Says it's pretty much like what Heather's like dreams of in the future.
Yeah.
She says, "My husband at the table, appreciating the food I'd cooked, the clean house he'd walk into. He was managing the world out there, and at the end of the day, his reward was that he got to return to his castle where I spoiled him."
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I know that kind of just sounds like old time. Well, I mean, this book was also taking place in the 70s,
It was in the
but,
70s, exactly. Yeah. Like
but,
this was that time frame.
but, and I know it sounds very like old timey in the sense that it's just like, oh, like she's like a slave to her husband, blah, blah, blah. But like, honestly, like, I, I kind of like the idea of being that way and not like in a slave sense and just like have my husband like smack me if like there's a speck of dirt on the ground, but like being like the homemaker, you
I mean,
know?
I'm gonna get a little bit preachy on you. That's what it says in the Bible. Like when a woman marries a man, she leaves her home and she aids him. Like it's not like you're bowing down to him. You are a partner together, but as a spouse, that is your duty. his duty is to be, the bacon maker or like, the money maker or whatever you want to call it. And then you are supposed to help him by providing him comfort and peace when he's not there, you know? So like that's why I try to be a very good wife in like all sense of the word because I want my husband to find comfort here.
I like doing those things, and then like I like cooking, and it makes me feel good knowing that I can
Yeah.
do those things for him. But what else do I have? Oh, which speaking of, like Maureen's mom, because she's in like that kind of like weird state, I guess,
Yeah.
because her husband died or whatever the case may be, or her husband left her, didn't he?
I think so.
Whatever the case may be, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Something along those lines, yeah.
Heather walked into her house, and I'm just like, how do you let your house get bad?
Hmm.
Because it was like a hoarding mess. There was trash
Yes.
everywhere. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if like she had roaches and stuff. Like, I'd gag walking into that house. I don't think I'd be able to go into that house. And like,
No.
my one thing though too is like the cleanest room in that house was Maureen's bedroom. And like, why wasn't Maureen like helping to try to tidy up the house though?
I have family like that I would I don't know if I'd consider them hoarders, but they do have stacks and stacks and well, essentially they're hoarders. Um, but like they don't think it's a problem. And if you've been raised in it, you also don't think it's a problem. And like you can have your own space that you keep tidier, but at the same time, like that's still home. Like if it was that way forever, or even if it got that way slowly over time, then like you're used to that. That's home. So you don't find anything. That's like, the same people whose house smells like cigarette smoke or like dogs, that's home. You don't realize it until you're left for a while or whatever, and then come back, and then you're like, oh, well, this is kind of weird. But
Yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
I don't think she found anything wrong with it.
Could be. You're right.
And Marine's mother or Marine, but
I've got two notes, one that says Maureen is dead, and then the one right after that says Brenda is dead.
oh, that was quick.
Yep.
My next few are about like Marine. Heather found Marine's diary and it said, if I go missing, I've been murdered. So like she knew it was coming.
Yep.
And it says that my next one was Marine was dead and put in the quarry. And then that's when Heather wrote down and told her dad everything. And like her dad acted like sympathetic
Yep.
and all that crap. Like that made me sick. Because at that point, I was like, suspecting it was him. But then I was just like, what if this is just an act to get her to not think it's him? And then she found out it was him. And then that made me like nauseous. Because I was just like, oh, God, that's her dad, like, ugh.
Yeah. Was it like the cop that's the one that killed her? Or was it Ed?
I don't know. I think it was the sheriff. Because, I mean, Sheriff had Beth. He was one of the ones there with Marine. The reason he killed, I think the reason he killed Brenda was dead, wasn't she? I think she's dead. But the reason why is because Brenda was wearing, he never would have known it, but she was wearing her brother's military uniform and it had her last name on it.
Yeah.
So that's what, she started freaking out thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to come after me. And then he did. I think it was him. I'm pretty sure, I'm 99% sure it was the sheriff.
Yes. I think so. I don't remember. It's been since August,
Yeah.
which is like 6 months almost ago.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. I read this
Um,
one back in June, I believe.
I started it
Yeah.
in June.
Yeah. Mine says finished June 28th.
I started it in June, and then that was like my book slump time
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyways,
And book slump was October to December.
do you ever like pick things like when it's like there's a whole group of people and you all have to pick something and you pick like the one thing that no one wants because no one wants it?
Yes.
Like I've done that before with Halloween costumes because I was at work and it was gonna be Halloween. There was like 7 of us working that day. And
Yeah.
so we were like, we're gonna do a group costume. It's gonna be like the 7 dwarves. And I was like, I'll pick Doc because I know no one's gonna want Doc.
No one's gonna want to be Doc. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
So
that's so sad. I mean, it's funny, but like it's sad at the same time.
I mean I rocked it. It was just t-shirt that said Doc on it, but I
Yeah.
rocked it. I got
You
everyone
usually do,
beanies.
baby girl.
Oh. But yeah, like I do that quite often though. Just because especially with like tasks sometimes at work. Because I'll just
Yeah,
be
like I'll
like,
just
people
do
will
it.
be
Yeah.
like, well, why are you doing that? And I'm like, because if I don't do it, then who the hell's gonna want to do it? Because no one's
Exactly.
No one
That's a
wants
good
to do
work
it.
ethic, though.
Yeah. I got 2 notes left
Okay,
before
go
my
ahead.
finding final stuff. Are you done?
I have one, but it's like
The
Heather told the
last.
cops everything, and then the sheriff and the dad were charged, which we've already kind of talked about that, so that's pretty much it.
I was gonna say like Aunt. So like Aunt was very like apologetic to Heather about the whole situation,
Yeah,
and like Heather was pretty much just like, I understand that you feel that way, but I don't forgive you.
exactly.
And
And good for
I would
her.
feel the same.
Absolutely.
And then my last note is that Elizabeth is a warrior because she endured all that and then still survived and then afterwards went on to do all this like successful stuff with like college and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, didn't they stay friends after all this happened? Like, wasn't there like an epilogue or a prologue where
Yeah,
they
I
were
think
like,
so.
yeah, they were like having tea and stuff?
I think so.
That was really sweet. That made me happy.
Me too.
What are your buzzwords, ma'am?
Slow start, but once I got 25% in, I binged and was invested.
Yes.
That's it.
Oh, that's it?
Yep.
Okay. Mine is dark. Like dark,
Oh,
dork. And then and then family, because there's like a lot of family values in here, like, strength building between the sisters. Not really the dad as much, but the
yeah.
sisters. And then strength also, because like, I don't know if I would be strong enough to deal with all this as well as all the girls in the book did.
Yeah.
Like
That that
I don't
that's
want to be the person that would just lay there and die, but I may be
yeah.
the person that would just lay there and die. So
I mean, I've never been in that situation, but you know,
exactly. Knock on wood.
you never
Hello.
know. I hope not, but
I
I'd
hope I
I'd
will
like to
never.
think I'd like to think I'd be as strong as Elizabeth, but
Yeah.
what did you rate it?
A 5 out of 5.
Shocker.
I know. I'm honestly, ever since reading stuff, I've been trying not to rate stuff a 5 out of 5, but I could see me run like my five is I could read it again, which I
Yeah.
don't do that. But I could see myself reading this one again just because of how captivating it was.
And well, first of all, I did this as like a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah.
So I would probably keep this on a bookshelf as a book trophy, but I
Hmm.
think like if it was a 5 out of 5, I would totally read it again and I would definitely have it on my shelf as a book trophy. Like that's part of my
Hmm.
criteria. Like I have
Yeah.
to be like hooked into the book.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, I did 2 pages worth of notes for this book and I usually do one, so
I know that's
that says
big for
something
you.
too. That
Yeah,
is
you
big
normally
for
don't do
me.
that.
It might also just be because that one quote that I had was like 10 lines, but
Yeah.
anyways, that's all I have. That's all she wrote.
That's, oh my gosh. Do you realize that that is your new catchphrase?
Is it?
We talked about that in the last episode because you said that like 3 times.
Oh, well, there's many catchphrases. Let's put it on a shirt.
Let's put it on a shirt. That's all she wrote. Well, that's it for me. Should we start closing?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. We have an email at biblioaudiopod
Yep,
at gmail.com. Took me a minute. I
correct.
got there.
Good job.
And then, thank you. And then we also have Instagram, which is Biblioaudio Podcast, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I did it. Woo. And then I do not remember our website. You're gonna have to help me with that one.
Bibliaudiopod.com.
Okay. Oh, so it's literally the same as the email. Okay.
Yep, I
But
made it simple.
yes. So yeah, I know. That's good for me, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so by the time you're listening to this, you should have already seen our Summerton video on YouTube. And if you haven't, I'm gonna
Yes.
knock you out. Get over there.
Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, we have this it took a while. So like if any of you people are like the authors that were
I'm really sorry.
when we're so sorry that came out so late. It's just
I
been
know.
a lot the last couple months
Oh my gosh, it's been
with
terrible.
like sickness and then like job changes,
Injuries. Yeah,
injuries, like
man.
stress, anxiety and
Me
stuff
and
like
you are
that.
just
Like
going
it's
through it right now.
yeah, it's not great.
But
But
I'm
we're
hoping,
we're gonna get there
yeah,
eventually.
hoping that the beginning of the year is going to be a chance for us to get back into this and to calm down a little bit. Definitely do better than last year. Maybe we'll see. We're not going to promise 2 episodes a week ever again because that was stupid on our part.
It worked out for a really long time. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, it worked out for a bit until, stuff changed, as always. But for now, we'll see you when we see you. Thank you for listening to our ramblings, and we love you all very much.
We do.
Bye bye.
Bye.